Purpose. I'm your host, Christy Gardner, and together we explore how each of us can find great joy in fulfilling our purpose, which means living deliberately and making the choices to get us where we want to go. This is podcast number 6, Accomplishing Your Quest. When my husband and I met, I was dazzled by his exceptional tennis skills. On top of that, he was an excellent student and he played the piano. On our first date, he played Clair de Lune for me, and I melted right then and there. His tennis prowess paid for his university education as the #1 player for 4 years. He still loves the sport and watches the top matches whenever he can. This past week, Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer played in the finals at Wimbledon, and we had fun watching the match. I have to confess I'm a fan of Federer and was a bit disappointed that Djokovic won in an unprecedented tiebreaker after a riveting several hours of competition. But I became a fan of Djokovic too when I listened to the interview he gave after the match. This is what he said. I remember as a kid, I was improvising and making little trophies out of different materials and going in front of the mirror, lifting the trophies and saying, "Nole was the champion." My husband turned to me and said, "And that's what your next podcast is about." I love it. He was right. It resonated so much with me that I had to share Djokovic's story, as well as a few others, to inspire myself and my listeners to achieve our dreams. What is Djokovic's secret? He literally created his success in his mind, in his spirit, in his heart, long before it came into being. The part I love best about his success is that he created his own trophies out of whatever he had so he could envision the experience and grow into that vision. Along the way, Novak Djokovic had to practice, and spend countless years of effort to become the tennis player he dreamed of being. But the vision was set in his heart, and he needed to live into his vision, being willing to pay the cost in terms of commitment, persistence, and consistency. Djokovic also thanked his parents and his family for their support and sacrifice to help him accomplish his dream. He literally realized the promise made by William Hutchison Murray in this quote: "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it." Djokovic dreamed it, committed to it, did not hesitate, and the results were a world championship ranking in tennis, his dream. In preparing this podcast, I had a pleasure of studying the experiences of so many great people who dreamed and achieved. Some of them are alive today, and others lived lives of commitment that began incredible legacies we can see years later. But all of them have a common theme. They envisioned the results they wanted, and they persisted until they achieved their desired results. For example, J.K. Rowling was as poor as somebody could be in today's Britain without being homeless. Her marriage had disintegrated, she had a daughter to care for, and all she had was hope, her big idea, and her typewriter. Her efforts had ended in failure, but failure didn't break her. On the contrary, failure helped her discover who she was. Rowling says, "Failure gave me an inner security that I had never attained by passing examinations. Failure taught me things about myself that I could have learned no other way. And as a result of her failure and trying again, the whole wonderful Harry Potter series was born. Reverend Martin Luther King's inspired message began a movement that continues on today. In one part, he said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." Oprah Winfrey grew up in poverty. She was sexually abused as a child, ran away from home, and gave birth at age 14 to a baby girl who died after only 2 weeks of life. Her first boss told her she was too emotional to be successful in television, but she persisted in following her commitment. Oprah said, "People refer to me as a brand now, the Oprah brand. I never knew what a brand was when I first started out. I became a brand by making every decision flow from the truth of myself. Every choice I made for every show that was going to be on air, I made based upon, does this feel right? Is this going to help somebody?" Emily Blunt, the famous actress who just recently played Mary Poppins in the sequel, once had a stutter that she could not overcome. She practiced saying funny things in different accents, which helped her overcome the stutter. But she was bullied and teased as a child for her stuttering. Her vision of acting came about because of her commitment to overcome a handicap. Each of these people, and countless others whose stories fascinate me, persisted with commitment and vision to achieve their dreams. How do we achieve our dreams? I have to confess, some of my dreams are not things I want to achieve. Those can happen when we eat too much of the wrong things before going to sleep, or we have too much bubbling around in our brains to stay focused on our most important objectives. But the message I have for you today is that you can achieve your dreams. You can follow specific laws that are in place, and your dreams will happen for you. As Walt Disney, another dream achiever whose story lives on, once said, "It's kind of fun to do the impossible." And no matter how impossible your dream is, someone somewhere has faced similar or more difficult circumstances than you have and triumphed. You can do the impossible. So let's talk about how that's done. The first step, and the most important one, is to know what you want. I mean, you really have to know what you want, and you have to be very specific. God showed us the way to make that happen with the creation of this earth and all of the animals and people upon it. He envisioned everything in detail and spoke clearly about the desired results. You can read it in Genesis. Create your vision on paper, written in ink with your own hand. Don't just type it. Writing it down gets it into a more visceral place where you can feel that desire within your heart. Get very specific. You want a wonderful relationship? What does that look like? Different surroundings? Where? How will you know you have achieved your dream if you don't know what your dream looks like? So meditate on it. Spend some time visualizing with no limits. How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? What do you want to accomplish? What does your perfect day look like? You can work on this for a while and let your brain play with possibility. Once you set your intention, you can let your brain and spirit take over, and ways will begin to open up for you to attain your desired result. This is the main law for success that is not easy to discover. The more specific you are and the better you visualize, the more material your brain and spirit have to work with. And they can set about accomplishing your goal even before you can begin taking action. Gail Miller said, "There is a higher power always watching over you and ready to help you. Day in and day out, be consistent with your efforts. If you have a goal and you want to get there, you have to do something about it. You have to make a plan and then day after day adhere to your plan." George Herbert said, Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work with whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along. Men and women who move forward with commitment and faith will see miracles happen. I have seen them in my life many times. Once you have committed and know what you truly desire, set to work and have faith. Boyd K. Packer said, "There are two kinds of faith. One of them functions ordinarily in the life of every soul. It is the kind of faith born by experience. It gives us certainty that a new day will dawn. It is the kind of faith that relates us with confidence to that which is scheduled to happen. There is another kind of faith, rare indeed. This is the kind of faith that causes things to happen. It is the kind of faith that is worthy and prepared and unyielding, and it calls forth things that otherwise would not be. It is the kind of faith that moves people. It is the kind of faith that sometimes moves things. It is a marvelous, even a transcendent power, a power as real and as invisible as electricity. Directed and channeled, it has great effect." This week, take however long it takes to think about and dream about the results you want in your life. Then write it down as detailed and specific as you can be. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just put it out there and have faith and work with commitment to get going on it. On the way, you'll notice some delightful sidetracks, and you'll see that a greater force is guiding your steps towards your ultimate dream come true. In creating this podcast, I wrote a poem to inspire you ladies who may have placed others' dreams above your own, and you're wondering if it's too late for you to achieve yours. Know this: it is never too late. It is always exactly the right time. Begin and continue, and it will happen. My poem is called The Daughter's Quest, but it can very much apply to men as well. Her vision helps her see the goal, though far beyond the distant knoll. Her faith believes results will be her own potentiality, but all will not flow as she seeks. It may take time, in years or weeks. Her efforts may be spent in pain, refining fire, or cruelest rain. Still resolute, she stays the course, her labor sure with no remorse. A woman centered, holding fast, will seek her visions of the past and then become, in strength and calm, creator of her faithful psalm. No, she is not a perfect soul, but through her vision and her goal, she focuses on what can be, and thus fashions eternity. Remember, every effort you make makes a difference. It is sometimes through accomplishing our goals and dreams that we inspire or help others to accomplish theirs. So no matter how busy you are, take a minute to make a difference and savor the perfection in every precious moment. Hope your week ahead is fantastic. Sending you love.